Hey everyone, so One Piece chapter 1060 just came out. And this was yet another, back to back to back, right? Like 1058, 1059 did this, and they've each been getting better and better, which is insane to say because we all know what happened in 1059. But this chapter delivered on two major fronts. Number one was the Straw Hat crew. I have wanted for so long. I thought that, I'm not gonna say I thought we'd never get this sort of stuff again, but it's been a long time, right? Because we're used to getting to see the crew, just chill, just hang out, just interact, just bounce off each other, right? In large groups, all together, in between arcs, right? That's something that we've all really come to look forward to in between arcs. But it's been the longest time because Dressrosa, post-Dressrosa, obviously crews split up. Post-Whole Cake Island, obviously crew is still split up. Even in Zou, I think Zou we did get some nice scenes with the crew all together and I actually really enjoyed that, but Sanji wasn't there. First time, everyone together, and not only is it, I think, like mixing in, actually meaningful interactions in that we get to see them react to the idea that Vivi, who is an honorary Straw Hat, the idea that Vivi is being held captive and is potentially in danger. We actually get to see their reactions and, very in-character responses to that. And, some actually serious discussion and conversation about how they should proceed with this situation. We get to see that, but we also get to see all of the gag stuff and all of the funny stuff that this... Why is it that post-Alabasta and post-Wano, right? Obviously two very similar arcs in terms of setup and concept, but post-Alabasta and post-Wano, they both end with the crew getting mad at Zoro over Vivi. It's over the exact same thing. They're both upset. Both times they're upset about Vivi for very different reasons, obviously. Both times Zoro's the one who ends up being the odd man out that they all take their anger out on, basically. Obviously, in this situation, it's one of those classic ones, I've said this many times before, but Oda likes to, when it comes to determining the next step for the crew, Oda usually likes to go back to three characters as his launching off points, which is Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, right? He usually goes to those two at the start of an arc or basically determine, I won't say it's been as consistent throughout the New World, but if you look throughout the story, right? Obviously, East Blue begins with that. Obviously, the Alabasta saga begins with that. The three of them coming across Vivi and then launching them on the trajectory to go take down Baroque Works. Obviously, Skypiea, that whole arc begins with the Jaya arc, which is basically exclusively Luffy, Zoro, and Nami. Then, if you want to look at Enies Lobby, technically Chopper was there, but mostly was Luffy, Zoro, and Nami doing the heavy lifting for all of the dialogue that launched their mission to go save Robin and everything like that. If you go back and look, Chopper was basically a side character throughout that situation. If you look at the start of this Yonko saga, it was Luffy, Zoro, and Nami first debating what they should do about the Sanji situation. Should they go after him? What they should do? And now again, similar situation, the Vivi situation, what should they do? Luffy, Zoro, Nami, the three of them bounce off each other really well. It's interesting when Oda chooses to go with Zoro being the voice of reason versus Nami being the voice of reason. Sometimes Oda has Zoro be like all in, like, oh, we're going to take on Crocodile or Shichibukai, I'm in. Sometimes, same thing with Kaido, when he first heard that they want to go take down a Yonko, he's in. Whereas Nami's always the opposite reaction. Nami did not want to go, she tried to stop them from going after Crocodile when she heard. She was there with Luffy when he heard from Law that they were going to go take down a Yonko, and she tried to stop him there as well. So sometimes it's like that. Other times, when Nami's emotionally invested, it's interesting to see that she was perfectly happy to go to Whole Cake Island to go try to get Sanji, and Zoro was the one who was actually saying, no, we shouldn't do that. That's not smart. We shouldn't go try and mess with another emperor, even though in this case, because Nami was emotionally invested, she was 100% ready to do that because that's in character for her. Same thing here, Nami's emotionally invested. She wants to go save Vivi, so even though it's not the smart, rational thing, I like seeing this side of Nami come out, which is the opposite of the usual cowardly, play it safe Nami. When she actually cares about someone, she's always ready to always go in. To go all in, right? So I like seeing that, and I like seeing this flip side of Zoro where he's not just like, oh sure, let's go fight this strong guy, let's go take on, we don't care, right? We'll take on any challenge, I'll take on Mihawk, I'll take on Kuma, I'll take on Kaido, blah, 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 blah. I like seeing this other side of him where he's actually trying to get priorities straight sometimes and actually trying to be a good, vice captain, right? So I like that whole side of things, but what really got me and made me love this chapter right off the bat was The Zoro scene, in terms of the gags and everything that came out of that, in terms of the insults that they came up with, genuinely, each one of those comments made me laugh. Every single one, including Sanji's comment, even though we see him call him a moss head a million times throughout the story. Why? I just thought that I like when One Piece is like, the stuff that they come up with it's almost like self-referential or like parodying the events of like a previous arc or something. Like they just came off this huge conflict with Kaido and Big Mom and everything, and they're already making fun of, they're like, you're an Onigashima. It's like, what? You're a green Kaido. You're a green mom. It's like, what? And I love that Sanji actually gets it on this as well, because normally Sanji's like, he's just called Zoro a moss head, but I found it really funny because normally it's just him making fun of Zoro, right? Or like him trying to insult Zoro, call Zoro names and stuff like that. So I like that like everybody else is getting in on it as well in this scene, and Sanji's just like jumping in with his usual like, hey, if we're making fun of Zoro, let me just say, you're a moss head. I just thought that, I don't know, I actually laughed reading each one of those speech bubbles. So this was actually one of the funniest One Piece. It was cool because this was one of the most fun chapters from start to finish. One of the funniest One Piece chapters we've had in recent memory. I don't remember the last time I laughed this much reading a One Piece chapter. Not that they haven't been, buggy, etc. That's always good comedy, but I'm just saying this legitimately had me rolling for like most of the first section of this chapter. The other thing I really, really like about the beginning part of this chapter is that it established something very, very important that we were all kind of wondering about heading into the end game, which was, how is Oda going to play with the idea of, they've made so many friends and so many allies at this point. They have so many people that they're close to. So people are going to be in danger all the time, right? Kobe is currently in danger. Vivi obviously in danger. Sabo, we know Sabo's in danger. We've read the rest of the chapter, right? Sabo's in danger. Hancock was in danger a chapter ago. It's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be difficult for the Straw Hats to go like 2 chapters without hearing about someone that they know / care about is in trouble, right? So the question is, how does Oda handle this? Because at some point, like, what's the trigger that would be in character and at the same time not feel too minor to start the Straw Hats going into the big final conflict, going up against the whole world government or going up against the Blackbeard pirates or whatever? Because at the end of the day, you don't want it to feel like too cheap. Like, if they're going to go into the final war with the world government, admirals, Akainu, Im, blah, 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 like the whole works and everything like that, like go straight to war, call all their allies and everything like that, right? It should, like, I don't even know where the line is where it would feel like, okay, what if, I don't know, like, what if Kobe's in trouble, right? Like, what if for some reason or the other, the world government decides they get Kobe back from the Blackbeard pirates, they're like, we're going to execute Kobe, right? Is that like a worthy trigger? Is Sabo being in danger? Would that just be redundant if it's Ace? I was really wondering with the Vivi situation, like, okay, does this mean that, do they go try and save Vivi? It's like Vivi, I don't even want to say like, is Vivi worth it? Because that's not really the question. It's just like, story-wise, for us the reader, would it feel right that the reason that the Straw Hats amass all their forces and go to war is because they heard that Vivi's in trouble again, right? It's hard to say, right? I don't know. I'm not gonna know how I feel about it till we inevitably get to whatever the trigger is that sends the Straw Hats going off into war. Is it like one hostage is enough? Like just one valuable person that they care about is in trouble? Or like, should we throw like 3 or 4 or 5 in there? Is it gonna be several nations that are in trouble or something? Is the world government threatening to destroy all of Alabasta or all of Dressrosa? Like, what is the trigger, right? So whatever the trigger is for the final big conflict, it has to feel earned, right? Like, or not even earned, it has to feel monumental enough that we're heading into that section of the story. So I liked a lot, long way of me saying that I liked a lot how Oda played this section, which is that, yes, the natural response you would see from Luffy, who throws caution to the wind, he'll do whatever on a whim, he'll go fight the world government for no reason. I mean, they did it for Robin and didn't even know if Robin wanted to still be friends with them, right? He'll go fight the world government, he'll go get Vivi back for whatever reason, right? Same thing with Nami. She'll do it because she cares about Vivi. She's gonna be, even though she's normally a very logical person, when it's someone she cares about, she's going to make the emotional choice, right? So that stuff is in character, but at the same time, I like Zoro reframing it. Like, remember, we've been through this before. Just someone you care about being in trouble, so last time it was Ace, is not reason enough to go flip the world upside down and change everything, right? Trust that this person can take care of themselves. So it sounds like things would need to go a lot further and more extreme for us to expect the Straw Hat Crew to actually take big time action against the world government at this point in time. So I like that because it keeps everything in character, but also offers logical in-story justification and like proven past in-story justification of identical scenarios as to why this shouldn't be enough of a trigger to spark them heading into the final conflict. So I think Oda played that really well. I like that. Okay, the dream part, right? I was like, I'm just gonna move ahead to the fun stuff with Sabo. But the dream part is also really, really, really important. First of all, the double page that Oda did for it, phenomenal. When's the last time we've had something just... It's a very nicely clean-cut, like organized page paneling-wise, right? So it just felt like a very nice, clean, symmetrical page. And, you know, especially over the course of the Wano War, we did get a lot of packed pages with a lot of panels kind of stuffed together to get as much content out. I thought it was just a refreshing page to look at, that double page of Luffy calmly lying back. I mean, even just the sense you get looking at that panel of Luffy calmly lying back, talking about his dream to his friends, and all of his friends, like little panels reacting and everything like that. It's a very, I don't know, it feels like a very pure, clean page to just look at. And I like the organization of it quite a bit as well. So that's just a minor point that I'll just throw out there. But it feels right. Like Oda really, really wanted to let the impact of that page set in. So Luffy talking about his dream. This is not the place to speculate on that, but the dream is like, it's something that I'm really, really, really interested in again. I thought that Luffy had revealed the extent of it by the end of his battle with Kaido, but it seems like there's more to it. Because if he had revealed it by the end of his battle with Kaido, there's just no reason to hide it from the reader at this point anymore, right? So the answer is that he did not reveal it at the end of the battle with Kaido. Likely an important part of it was kind of pieced together by the end of the battle with Kaido in terms of the type of world that he wants at the end of the day. But the full dream, it seems like you can't ignore the laughter aspect of it. You can't ignore the laughter aspect of it. That seems like the key clue that Oda keeps dropping. I don't want to get into theories or anything here because I honestly don't have a really good theory for this, right? But just in terms of what Oda seems to be emphasizing, the idea that it's very absurd. It's very absurd. It still has to be true to Luffy's character because they all feel like that makes sense for him, right? It has to be something that's most likely related to freedom in some sense because it was coming off the back of the Goa Kingdom experiences and everything like that. And there's always discussion about freedom before Luffy mentions his dream. That was the case, I believe, this chapter as well. I don't have a good theory on it, but I think that there's certain things that Oda's consistently emphasizing every time that this true dream comes up. So, you know, maybe there'll be some fun theories. Maybe something will click down the line in a little bit. But it's just interesting that whatever it is, it seems like, one, Oda obviously had a plan since the end of the pre-time skip, right? So it's something that Luffy's character was always leading up to. But two, it also seems like something that Oda's just not going to reveal till a key moment in the final saga, which is really, really interesting because I really look forward to that for Luffy's character. The fact that there's still some important piece of him that even though Luffy seems like an open book, he's actually at the same time like a very surprising and unpredictable individual. So I like that there's still something really, really big for us to look forward to for him by the end of the game. Something that we still don't understand fully about him and his motivations. So love that. Final part of the chapter. So I was spoiled on this. Im destroying the island, I was spoiled on it. I even knew that Sabo was going to be in this chapter, so it didn't quite shock me the way that I didn't get the full experience, let's say. But at the same time, what happened is still monumental enough that reading it was still insane. So the question is, well, how many questions are there? Is Sabo dead? No. Okay, there's no way Sabo's dead. There's no way Sabo's dead, right? Unless that thing was loaded with haki, he should be perfectly fine because he's made out of fire. I guess he would drown because he's at the ocean, but I don't know. He can fly, last I remember. It's something similar. He did need karate. Never mind. I think the Marimaro no Mi, he'll be just fine, is the point, right? More importantly, did Oda just off an entire island? Look, I don't think the fact that we know Moda is there makes me feel that something is up. Something is afoot. It's just like Moda the milkmaid is there. Does Oda have it in him to kill a milkmaid? I don't think so. Not the Oda I know. All I gotta do is take a look back at the scabbards and just like, yeah, Oda, if he couldn't kill Kinemon, couldn't kill Kiku, he can't kill a milkmaid. That's all I'll say. All right. So at this point in time, I'm just like, did he kill the majority of the island and then some people are going to be revealed to survive? Was there something up in terms of maybe there was a discussion I remember from I did a stream yesterday. People were talking like maybe this was deliberate by Sabo. He had already gotten the island of Lulusia evacuated. That is a slight possibility because the Revolutionary Army were at that kingdom in chapter 904, right? So the Revolutionary Army had already kind of like placed some roots there. So they may, like, obviously the rest of the Revos aren't in on a plan or whatever, but maybe Sabo did hatch something right before he tried to do this transmission and everything like that, because there's not really a reason for him to do such a risky transmission, right? There's no reason as far as we can tell. It's just so hard to say right now. I just can't imagine Oda doing that in the present day story. He did that obviously with Ohara before, but this is just very, very different, right? Very, very different, very, very, like, even just the fact that the rulers of the country now, we've seen their faces and everything like that, and their characters that talk, right? Oda killing them off just seems very, very drastic and out of character for him. So I'm still having trouble believing that he offed that entire island. But on the flip side, I would love if that actually is the case, because it sets such a drastically different tone as to what we can expect heading into the finale of the story. Like, what can we expect when they're talking about a great cleansing? What can we expect going into, the full world government, authoritarian evil reveal to the outside world, right? So there's so much there that, I don't know, I think I'd be cool with it either way if everyone survived, because as long as there's something interesting, like a cool reason, or like a smart, well thought out reason as to how they were able to survive that, or whether it was a trick or trap laid by Sabo or something like that to prompt some action from him, to kind of show his card or show his hand, or something along those lines. Or if everyone's dead, then that's good tonally and everything like that for the series. So I'm happy either way. Most importantly, obviously, is the reveal of what Im is capable of doing. As to whether or not that's his own ability or Uranus or something like that, we have yet to know. But there were some interesting conversations basically about, like, I guess obviously the parallels to the Raigo. That's Tuesday's video. There's a lot to talk about there, a ton to talk about. I think I got a really good video coming out on Tuesday. But even just parallels to Doflamingo, people were talking about the 16 holy bullets that Doflamingo used. It seemed like there were strings of light essentially coming down to destroy the islands, which seems, again, very reminiscent of Doflamingo. So parallels to Doflamingo there and Enel there, which is very deliberate, as you will hear about in Tuesday's video. I got a lot to say in Tuesday's video. I think I got a really good video coming out, okay? The point being, Oda's going very, like, he's pulling back a lot of references for this chapter, and he's really doing a lot to set up Im as this all-powerful, like, godlike force for the world. So that's just really, really exciting for Im as a character heading into, him essentially taking up the role as the final villain of One Piece. I think I would bet if I was a betting man, I would I would place my bets on Im being the final villain of One Piece, even over Blackbeard at this point. But I'm not sleeping on Blackbeard. I think that there's still a chance there. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about the community voices, so things that you all had to say about this chapter that were particularly interesting. Now, this was open this time to all my patrons. In the future, it will be open mainly only to the top patrons. So shoutouts to X7 Strife. The most interesting thing that he pointed out here is that the method of how the world government eradicated God Valley, the way that Sengoku described that God Valley doesn't exist on any map, and how they crossed off the island in this chapter felt very reminiscent of that same chapter. That's 957, if you all remember. So I personally think that that's a really, really good idea, and I think that's a great observation, because the fact that it's such a similar visual, right, and such a similar concept, right? What's the light you want to be erased from history? God Valley was erased from history, so something very similar happened there as to what's happening now. We see an island being completely erased, Im literally crossing something off a map, and God Valley supposedly doesn't exist on any maps. So whatever the power that Im has, be that Uranus or whatever, it's something that I guess has a ripple effect of sorts, where it literally is going to lead to things being crossed off history books. People probably won't talk about the Lucia anymore. I'm not saying that's some supernatural effect of Uranus, just that it's something that tends to come with the territory of literally wiping an island off the face of the earth. And Im clearly has the influence to be able to, from the top down, have, you know, the rest of the world start crossing that island off their maps as well, stop teaching it in history books, stop mentioning it, you know, just in general. So I think that we may have just gotten the secret of God Valley, which is that, not that we're gonna, I for the longest time thought that we were eventually going to find God Valley, but it sounds as though we're never gonna find God Valley because it truly, truly was erased from history. And we're probably gonna get more God Valley and the Lucia incidents in the future. So that's all for this video. I will talk to you all later.